All right, when we get started, welcome everyone to the Old Colony MPO meeting of October 15th. All right, first, I'll read the accessibility statement. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones and telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like this accommodation, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. And the notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the Federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available at the Old Colony Planning Council website at https://oldcolonyplanning.org. Please contact also Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you. Charlie, you want to go ahead and read the roll?
Yes, Steve Wolfel.
Steve Wolfel, representing Secretary and CEO of MassDOT. Monica Tibbetts-Nutt, here.
Okay, thank you. Sean Handy. Sean, can you hear us? Okay, while he was working on that, John Messia.
John Messia, representing City of Brockton.
Thank you. Lee Hartman.
Lee Hartman, present, representing the town of Plymouth.
Dan Salvucci.
Present.
Mike Lambert.
Here.
And Becky Coletta.
Here.
And just circling back to Sean. Can you hear us, Sean?
Hi, Charlie. Sean
Okay.
Handy, representing Jonathan Gulliver.
Great, thank you. Chair, we do have a quorum present.
All right. Again, welcome everybody. Let's move on to the next
Oh.
agenda item, which are public comments. Any members of the public would like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none. We'll move
Chair?
on to, yep, sorry, Charlie.
I did it again. I've in the roll call, what do I call FTA?
Oh,
Any
we have
ex
to
officio.
do a swear jar for you, Charlie.
I know. Maybe early retirement. So nobody from FTA, but Federal Highway, I see Eric Gumperline.
Yep. Hey, I am going to be the new rep for Old Colony. I used to work at CMRPC, so I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
So, Charlie, is there any way to do video? This is a little weird, not being able to see anything.
So
Or is that just me?
I think that's just you. Are you?
You
We
did
have
not
video
let.
for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did not let me in. I'm just on the view, so I don't think you let me in.
So
I'm
Sean,
sorry.
running logistics on this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lee,
All
I
right.
just sent you an invite to promote to panelist. Did you
Yep.
receive it?
I just got it now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. All right, let's see. Any members of the public like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none, let's move to agenda item 3, which is a potential approval of the minutes from July 16th. Can I get a motion, a second to approve?
I will motion Dan Salvucci.
Lee Hartman, second.
And we're back to normal.
Yep, sounds like it. All right, any changes or comments on the minutes? All right, seeing none. Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
Sean Handy.
Yes.
Thank you. John Messia,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Mike Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Motion carries.
All right, let's move to agenda item 4. All right, that is an update from the Brockton Area Transit Authority. Michael, take it away.
All right, thank you very much. Charlie, you can go to that next slide. So first and most importantly, this Friday from 12 to 3 here at the BAT Center, we'll be celebrating our annual Customer Appreciation Day. But in addition, this year we will be commemorating our 50th anniversary, as well as unveiling our the first edition electric bus additions to our fleet. And we'll have a bus wrapped in our 1974 scheme as well. We'll have sort of light lunch and apple cider donuts available as well as some giveaways, and everybody is invited. Ridership continues to be strong. September witnessed a 25-year high in terms of overall combined ridership. That's thanks to higher levels of frequencies and our fare free program as well. And we will have we also recently added Saturdays to our Rockland Flex service. So if you're out and about in Rockland, definitely check that out. And then later on in the meeting, Kelly will be presenting on our TAM plan asset management targets, and we appreciate your support for that. That's my update.
All right, any questions for Michael? All right, thank you, Michael. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, which I believe is an update from GATRA. So, is anyone here from GATRA?
It does not look like anyone's on.
All right, so we'll skip them, and if Marilyn makes it, and we'll go back to it. All right, we will now move to agenda item 6, which is an update from District 5. Sean, I believe this is you.
Yep. Do you, I'll go through, do you guys want the state prioritized as well as, I mean, the regionally as well as the state, I'm assuming?
Yes,
I
please.
think that's true.
Okay. All right, so the first one we have is the Brockton intersection improvements and related work at Center Street, Cary Street, and Lyman Street. Project file number 609410. This project was advertised September 14th of this year, and the TFPCC was 3.38 million approximately. This is for multimodal safety and access management at the Center Street, Lyman Street, Cary Street intersection in Brockton. Reconstructed traffic signals, sidewalks, and bike ped accommodations. That was for fiscal year 24. We'll move on to fiscal year 25. We have a project 613358 in Stoughton. Corridor improvements on Route 138 from the Canton Town line to Charles Avenue. This project will include milling, overlay, pavement markings, new sidewalks, bike ped accommodations, curb ramps. Project currently is at the PS&E stage, and the total federal participating construction cost is at just over 9 million. Next, we have project file number 608195 in Easton. This is a corridor improvements along Route 138, including the intersections at Elm Street and Washington Street. This project is set with a federal participating construction cost of 9.5 million. It's at the PS&E stage, and we will be realigning the western leg of Elm Street to the opposite Elm Street approach, sidewalks and bike lanes, accommodating shoulders. Next, we have project file number 609052 in Brockton. These are the intersection improvements at Center Street and Plymouth Street. This work includes reconstruction of the intersection, curbing, bike ped accommodations, striping. Will include some full depth reconstruction. We're at 75% stage with this. No, sorry. Between 25 and 75% stage with this project. Cost is 2.8 million approximately. This is a project that is right near the bus station along Route 123, just to orientate you where it is. Next, we have project file number 610714, Born to Braintree guide signs. That's a $4.3 million project. It's at PS&E stage. And these signage replacements will be between exit 1 in Bourne and exit 43 in Braintree. Fiscal year 2026. First one's project file number 607818 in Brockton. These are the intersection improvements at Lyman Street and Grove Street and Summer Street. This is a replacement of the Grove Street Bridge over the Salisbury Plain River. This would be reconstruction of the intersection, replacement of the bridge, adding a slip lane. Existing traffic signal will be replaced as well, pavement, milling and overlay. Total federal participating construction cost, 6.2 million. Currently at somewhere between 25 and 75% stage. Next project, 609440 in Abington, intersection improvements at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. This is a cost of 4.8 million approximately. It's at 75% stage. Roundabout is being proposed at this unsignalized intersection. Bicycle and pedestrian accommodations will be provided. Next, 611979 in Avon. These are the intersection improvements at Route 28 Spring Street and Harrison Boulevard. This was a total federal cost, 7.35 million. Project is at less than 25%. Sorry, 25%. And this project is full intersection reconstruction. It's a high crash location. Roundabouts were looked at for these locations, but based on a number of considerations, the signalized intersections are being advanced at this time. Next project, 607349. Replacement of the Route 3 over North River Bridge in Norwell, Pembroke, right at the Norwell Pembroke town line. This project is shown for a total federal cost of 52 million. It's at less than 25%. It's essentially intended to replace the structurally deficient bridge on Route 3 in Norwell and Pembroke. Let's see. Next, 612303 Bridgewater metal building renovations at the Mass DOT depot. That is not started yet. Federal fiscal year 2027. Project file number 606002 Kingston Duxbury. Intersection improvements at Route 3 ramps and Route 3A. This project is set with a cost of 3.05 million. It's less than 25% complete, and it will be including work for traffic signal installation at the intersection of 3A with the Route 3 ramps. Next, we have project file number 612525 Abington. These are intersection improvements, Randolph Street, Chestnut Street, and Old Randolph Street. This project will include geometric improvements to this entire intersection network here. Traffic signal is being looked at right now. Complete street elements will be installed as feasible, and cost is currently set at 3.8 million roughly. Next, project file number 612006 in Duxbury. This is the replacement of the Powder Point Ave over Duxbury Bay Bridge. This is an existing wooden bridge that has had a number of repairs and work done to it over the years. Current cost is set at 86 million. It's less than 25% complete, and it will be a complete bridge replacement across the bay.
Wow.
All right. Now we will go to federal fiscal year 2028. Project file number 613269 in Duxbury, intersection improvements at Route 53 and Franklin Street. This project is set with a cost of 7.28 million. It'll include intersection improvements, either a roundabout or a traffic signal at this intersection, geometric improvements, and that's that one. Next, 612769 in Hanover. Corridor intersection improvements at Main Street, Center Street, and Silver Street. This is Route 139, is the state highway. This project will include signal. We expect signal improvements to be advanced. Roundabout options were looked at. However, at this time, the signals are being advanced. It'll be a realignment of Center Street and some involvement with the Briggs Field area in the middle of town. Maybe some Article 97 issues there. This is set at a cost of 6.1 million, and we are at less than 25% stage.
Con? We had heard that there might be a meeting between the consultant, MassDOT, and OCPC with regard to this Hanover project. And we haven't seen anything because I know the town's concerned about making sure they preserve the ball field and there are no building takings.
Yeah, we've been in a number of kind of preliminary meetings with the town administrator, some of the town officials, trying to get a feel for what their feeling is with regards to Briggs Field, and beyond that, what the feeling of the residents and the townspeople are for the use of Briggs Field. So those meetings are kind of still continuing here. We just, I think it was last week, we just met with Joe Colangelo, the town administrator. And so it's being hashed out right now. We could certainly have a meeting with OCPC once we kind of get our bearings a little bit more on where we're going with it. We're going to be having an upcoming public information meeting with the town to kind of gauge the direct input that we get back from them at that time, from the different options, I guess, that we're looking at right now. So certainly, Charlie, we could set something up with OCPC to kind of give you a little more detailed brief on that sometime in the next week or two or something. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Oh, well, just well, it's good to hear that you're meeting directly with Hanover and with Joe in particular. So I think we're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's great news, and thank you for doing that. But at this point,
Sure.
I wouldn't add something to your plate as far as an additional meeting. I would say the public information meeting would be good with us.
Sure. Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. Next project, 612262 in Brockton. These are the intersection improvements at Route 123 Pearl Street and Stonehill Street. This project is less than 25% complete. Consists of pavement overlay, traffic signal reconstruction, additional left turn lanes on Pearl Street, and bicycle pedestrian accommodations at this intersection. And that cost right now is set, the federal cost, 7.5 million approximately for that project. Next is 611981. These are intersection improvements at Canton Street, School Street, and Summer Street in Stoughton. This is the project that is right near an adjacent railroad crossing. Just to get everybody's bearings, the current cost is set at 3.7 million. It's at 25% stage, and this project will include upgrades to the railroad crossing, as well as the bicycle pedestrian upgrades and motor vehicle considerations. Next, excuse me, 608615. the replacement of the Smiths Lane over Route 3 bridge in Kingston. This is a full bridge replacement of the Smiths Lane over Route 3, and this bridge will be widened. Sorry, say again. It's Smith's Lane over Route 3, and it's being widened to accommodate future traffic growth and also bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. This project is currently set at 12.8 million, and it is at less than 25% complete. It is undergoing the ICE review for what level of whether roundabout or signal advancement will be advanced. Next, 612770. This is the intersection improvements at Route 18 and Route 123 in Abington. This project is at less than 25% complete, and it's set for a total cost of 5.4 million approximately. And this will be traffic signal upgrades, geometric improvements, bicycle ped accommodations at that location. And next we have 613277. This is federal fiscal year 2029. 613277 in Stoughton, intersection improvements at Route 27 and Turnpike Street. This project is at less than 25% complete, and it'll include geometric, safety, and traffic operations. Sorry. Audio is going wild. Sorry, can you still hear me, everybody?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sean.
I'm having my speakers cut out whenever they want to, and I have to jump back to my headset. So sorry about that. Anyways, the Turnpike Street and Route 27, it's currently set for 3.3 million, and that is again as I said, less than 25%. Next, project file number 609520. This is the Brockton Route 123 corridor improvements project in Brockton, Abington, which is basically the purpose of the project is pedestrian and bicycle improvements along the corridor. It's an area of high potential for walkable trips and everyday biking. So the project goal is to improve bicycle and pedestrian accommodations along the corridor. It is at less than 25% complete, and the estimated total federal cost, 26.8 million. Next, 613292 in Bridgewater, Vernon Street over the Taunton River Bridge replacement. I'm sorry, bridge rehabilitation. Work on this project will include geometric safety and traffic operational improvements at the intersection of Park Street, Vernon Street. Proposed design incorporates bridge rehab. 20.6 million is the federal cost, less than 25% complete. Next, 613599, intersection improvements project in Hanover at Columbia Road and Broadway. I believe this was a high crash location project. It's at less than 25% complete, and the current federal participating costs set at 5.9 million. Next, project file number 611976 in East Bridgewater, Highland Street and North Bedford Street intersection improvements. Project proposes to improve existing signalized intersection by either constructing roundabout or signal and bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. Current cost set at 3.5 million, less than 25% complete. Project file number 613306, East Bridgewater. Bridge replacement, Pond Street over the Setauket River. This is a full bridge replacement set right now at, I don't know why this says 1.1 1.2 million. That can't be right though. So sorry, I don't have that correct cost on that one. It's at less than 25% complete though. Next, 613132. West Bridgewater, bridge replacement of the Forest Street over Town River Bridge. This is shown as 4.4 million. Less than 25% complete. Next, 6131. Oh, sorry, that's same one. And Charlie, do you want me to go through the unprogrammed projects as well? There's not too many. It's only about a page and a half. I can blow through them real quick if you want.
Yeah, in particular, the Hanson Route 14 project
So
is
why
one
don't,
we,
so Charlie, why don't we just pick the
Yep.
ones that people have questions on? So clearly, let's take on that one that you just brought up.
Okay, yep. Hanson's 608-506, Carter improvements on Route 14, Pembroke Town Line to Indian Head Street. That's the one you're talking about, correct?
yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so right now we're at 25%. Current federal participating costs shown at 10.3 million. This is the full roadway reconstruction, minor widening, improved bicycle and pedestrian accommodations, stormwater upgrades, pavement markings, signage, geometric improvements as well. This project, this is I'm sure you know, but I'll just to give a quick background. This was the project that had all the issues with the utilities. I think it was the water line ownership of different towns of the water line that's actually in Hanson. I'm not I don't know exactly what the status of that issue is at this moment, but it is still. Let me see what we have for an ad date. Let me just check. Let's see. So we're showing, okay. No ad date. It's a 10/2/2050, so it's not scheduled. Did you have any specific questions on that one, or basically just status?
Well, basically, if MassDOT was aware if the town has done the subsurface utility exploration or not.
I have an answer to that if you give me the chance to speak.
Yeah, go ahead, Al.
All right. Lisa Green, the town administrator, she got a hold of me last week and explained that Senator Brady had gotten $100,000 in the fiscal 24 budget to do the SU. And she asked me, she said she had lost a form the contract form to apply for the money and asked me to send her another one, so I did. Now, I was under the impression that they had already acquired the money because it was fiscal 24. They should have had it by now. But we'll work with them to try to get the money in place as soon as possible. All right. That's all I have to offer.
Thank you, Al, very much for the update.
right.
That's very
Thanks, Al.
informative. Yeah. Thank you very much. And
So
thank you for the money too.
So it seems like, Charlie, if you guys could quarterback, it seems like there's some outstanding issues. So on that. All right. Are there any other questions that people have for Sean, either on the one projects he went over or any of the ones that are unfunded that people know about and are interested in?
There's just one kind of high profile project. Let me just give a quick
Go ahead,
blurb
Sean.
on it. 607-214 Turnpike Street, the reconstruction of Turnpike Street, the disappearing roadway in Stoughton. That project is still moving forward. Obviously, it doesn't have an ad date, but there was quite a bit of geotechnical investigation being done by the consultant to determine how much the walls. For anyone who's not familiar with it, it's a boat section with retaining walls and wetlands on either side that has been slowly settling over the years. So the consultant was in the process of doing quite a bit of geotechnical investigation to see what type of movement and how much movement the walls were doing and how much settlement was still going on. And so that's where that is. It's moving forward. They're looking for funding, how to schedule it at this time, but it's still an important project that we're advancing. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Anyone have any questions on that? All right, last call. Any questions for Sean? All right, thank you, Sean.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is performance-based planning and our MassDOT proposed performance measures for our targets PM2 and PM3. I think this is going to be Annabelle, correct?
Yes, hi.
All right, take it away, Annabelle.
Okay, let me see if I can share. We have a PowerPoint. Okay.
Yes, 1 second. Let me give you co-host capabilities.
Thank you.
All right, take it away.
Okay. Can everyone see this?
Here we go.
I have Ryan here, and he's going to present this for us all today. All right.
Good morning, everyone. Are you guys seeing our display screen?
Yeah, we see it, Jack. Yes, we see it.
All right, so you're good to go, Steve?
Yeah, go take it away, you guys.
I'm seeing thumbs up. All right. Well, happy to be here this morning after the long weekend. We're here to talk about infrastructure condition, which is the subject of the PM2 set of measures, specifically National Highway System pavement and bridge. We are entering, well, we're midway through the second performance period, the first being 29 and 21, and I'm sure maybe Chris will talk a little bit about the structure of this in a bit, but that means to say that we're kind of well into this process with Federal Highway, and this performance management process that Federal Highway has set up mirrors the one that we ourselves utilize, and any interested parties can check that out through the Office of Performance Management and Innovation Tracker report, where we similarly track our targets on a 2 and 4 year basis, as well as a long term. So we're here, we're looking at 2023 condition, and the measures are for pavement, percent interstate good, percent interstate poor, and for bridge, percent good and percent poor. The distribution, which I think is somewhat helpful here at a region level, we'll go through that first for pavement. This is the interstate network as described across all the regions of Massachusetts. You see there's a small percentage within Old Colony, but you know, this presentation is not explicitly meant to talk about Old Colony performance itself, but more as a statewide. Thought this information might be useful, though. On the non-interstate side, similarly, Old Colony doesn't have the majority or by any means, but you can see the distribution between municipality and state-owned control is obviously much more pronounced. On the non-interstate side, interstates are exclusively owned by the Department of Transportation. So a little about performance. I think generally across the board, we saw in all conditions, you'll see it in bridge as well, that we lagged slightly against our targets midway through this period. On the pavement side, we're attributing that to just a creeping cost of construction. We build our program investment targets, so not condition targets, but our spending targets based on a model that we update every year. That model looks at the cost of construction and the output as we see it when we sample our conditions across the state every year. So it's a feedback loop and what we're seeing is that the lane mile cost, and this should be no surprise to anybody on the call, it's getting more expensive to to resurface a lane mile of roadway. As a result, our STIP projects that you all see are getting less and less lane mile done per year. Now, it's not not falling off a cliff right now, but you can see here that for interstate, we expect it to be at 70% good. Our actual at this point is 67.3. So marginally missed that target. What we see to be key to our success here, first and foremost, is control of scope. This is particularly within our pavement programs. These are state of good repair programs of investment. We do try to incorporate other aspects of the work when we're out on a corridor, looking at vegetation control, looking at ways to improve our drainage systems from a reliability or from an ecological perspective. But first and foremost, we're trying to keep our pavements in good condition. That is for safety reasons. Plus, it's just the fact that as pavements deteriorate, they become more costly to repair. So it just makes good sense for us to keep them in good condition. So first and foremost, that's what we're going to be looking to do to ensure that when we put projects out, we're being as lean and mean as possible and getting as much pavement improvement for our dollar as possible. Second will be just a general reevaluation of our program sizing. That's what we do as a course of every capital planning cycle, and we'll certainly be looking at that come January. Moving on to bridge. Not a lot of national highway system bridges in Old Colony. 58 total, 3 of which owned by municipalities. None are currently in poor condition. Bridge, similar story here, lagging our targets slightly. Just keep in mind when you're looking at these targets that some measures are meant to go up, some are meant to go down. We're trying to increase our good percentage and reduce our poor percentage. Slightly missing targets in both those cases this year. Different story here. We have some bridge money. Bipartisan infrastructure law bridge formula program brought Massachusetts a good degree of funding. At a similar level to the Next Gen Bridge program. We front loaded a lot of preservation work with these funds. Preservation work is a long-term investment. You're not going to see the improvements of the benefits of preservation overnight. You're going to see it long-term. But we do believe in the end of this performance period, we'll start seeing the improvements, the manifest of BIL and NGB through completion of replacement projects. That's going to do two things. It's going to reduce our backlog of poor, and if they are replacements, then that will increase our good. So we're certainly hoping to see those results come towards the end of this period of performance. And then back to preservation. Again, we have really doubled down on our preservation program at MassDOT. We have we've staffed up on resources in our bridge section, both to provide technical review, but also project management of these specific types of projects. And we think that's critical to the success of us in reaching a sustainable bridge inventory in Massachusetts. But it's not going to happen overnight. What we hope to do is keep our fair bridges in fair condition and not let them become poor. But again, it's a longer term strategy, and we'll just have to wait for that to bear fruit. That's the end of our presentation, but happy to take any questions.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Jack or Annabelle? All right. I don't see any. So now, Chris, you're up next, right, with P3?
That's right.
All right. Take it away, Chris.
Cool, thanks. I think I shared a copy of the presentation with Charlie and Bill. Would it be possible for you to present the screen on this one?
Yeah, Sean has it in the presentation.
Thanks, Sean. Awesome. So good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Clem. I'm with MassDOT's Office of Transportation Planning. I'm going to present on our system performance measures for congestion, reliability, and emissions, also known as PM3. I'll start off with a little bit of background. So in 2016, the Federal Highway Administration passed a rule establishing 3 performance measures that state DOTs and MPOs must track. And these measures cover safety, pavement and bridge condition, which you just heard on, and congestion, reliability, and emissions. The PM1 measure is reported on annually, while PM2s and 3 are reported on every 4 years with a mid-period check-in at the 2-year mark, which is what brings us here today. So again, this is the mid-performance period or halfway mark of the full 4-year performance period. And FHWA essentially requires an update here to see how we're doing relative to the targets we established 2 years ago. And this particular report was submitted at the beginning of the month by MassDOT. And the only adjustment that we are proposing is to the non-single occupancy vehicle travel category, since the data exceeds the targets we established 2 years ago. So this slide details all the required performance measures under PM3. These include reliability measures, which are tracked at the statewide level. That's the level of travel time reliability on both the interstate and non-interstate national highway system, as well as truck travel time reliability, and that is just on the interstate system. And our congestion measures are tracked for the 3 urbanized areas in Massachusetts with populations exceeding 200,000. That includes Boston, Worcester, and Springfield. And these metrics are for the percentage of non-single occupancy vehicle travel and the peak hour excessive delay. And that final measure at the bottom, emissions, that's also a statewide measure that tracks the total reduction of on-road mobile source emissions using an analysis that we perform for projects programmed using our congestion mitigation and air quality funding. So I'll begin with the level of travel time reliability measure, or LOTTR. This measure is based on the amount of time it takes to drive the length of a road segment. And the metric is the percentage of person miles traveled that are reliable. And I want to note here, it's very important, is that the reliability as defined by FHWA does not necessarily mean uncongested. It's sort of just how the difference in travel times, regardless of time of day, is consistent. And this measure is reported on at the statewide level. I thought it'd be helpful to show a little bit of background on how our program calculates level of travel time reliability. So we collect travel times on the 4 periods shown at the bottom of the screen in the green table. That is for 6 to 10 a.m., 10 to 4 p.m., 4 to 8 p.m. on weekdays, and then weekends from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we find the 50th percentile and the 80th percentile travel times. That is essentially the median travel time is the 50th percentile travel time, and then the 80th percentile is, essentially you're traveling slower than 80% of all the travel times on that segment. And we repeat the calculation 80 divided by 50 for the 4 periods shown below. And if all are below 1.5, we consider that segment to be reliable. But if any one period is above 1.5, then that segment is unreliable. And then that metric is converted to a percentage. So we can calculate, communicate this as the percentage of person miles traveled that are considered reliable. So this is for our interstate travel time reliability measure. So here FHWA wants to know if we are meeting or making progress towards our 2-year target, which you can see at the bottom of the screen here is a 74% reliability measure on the interstate system. So 2022 was when we established that target. As you can see, it's gone down slightly in terms of reliability. And we attribute that a lot to the impacts from COVID that we still felt in 2022, but starting to normalize here. And the data that we are using specifically for this target is actually 2023, because that's the latest year of complete data. So we have achieved a measure greater than 74%, which is the target we established for this check-in. And our 4-year target is 76% reliability, which is also on the bottom of the screen. And this is the same calculation, same measure, but for non-interstate travel time reliability. As you can see, the 2-year target we established is 85% reliability. And looking at our full data year of 2023, 86.1, we have again achieved that target as well. And we are hoping to meet a 4-year target of 87% reliability on the non-interstate system in 2 years. So the next statewide measure is truck travel time reliability. This is very similar to our last measure. This is the amount of time it takes trucks to drive the length of a road segment. It's reported on the statewide level only on the interstate system. And again, reliability as defined does not necessarily mean uncongested. And this is a very similar methodology to our level of travel time reliability, but the real difference here is that we are calculating the difference in percentiles at the 50th and 95th percentiles, and then rather converting our number to a percentage like we do for travel time reliability, it remains as an index and is measured as a decimal. So the lower the decimal, the lower the index, the better, because that means the difference in travel times at these two percentages is smaller and more reliable. So this slide is showing our year-to-date data and our 2-year target of 1.8. So again, the smaller the number, the better. So the full 2023 data shows that we have a truck travel time reliability of 1.75, and that is better than the target we established 2 years ago of 1.80. And our 4-year target of 1.75, we think is well within reach as well. This is the final slide for these measures. It just has a little bit of a summary of our reliability measures, shows that we are meeting our targets for each of the 2-year targets established. You can see sort of the trends in overall reliability from before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and then moving past it. And we included our 2022 target here as well. That was established during the previous performance period before COVID, just to give you a picture of how things are changing. Moving on to our first urbanized area performance metric, that is the peak hour excessive delay. This indicates the annual hours of excessive delay per capita on the national highway system between the peak periods of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. And for the purpose of this measure, the threshold for excessive delay, how that's defined, is based on the travel time at 20 miles per hour or 60% of the posted speed limit, whichever is greater. And we are required to report on this measure at all 3 of our urbanized areas with a population exceeding 200,000. And the Old Colony region does maintain some national highway system miles that are a part of the Boston UZA, which is what we'll present on for these measures. So this slide here, it's a little bit noisy, so apologies, but if you focus on the right side of the screen, in those boxes there, you can see the calculated excessive delay per capita per year. So in 2020, it was about 12.7. That was the first year of COVID, but you can see it has steadily increased since then. So at the time of target setting in 2021, we developed a 2-year target of 24 peak hour excessive delay per capita as a target. So we want this measure to be below that, and we have achieved that. And we are keeping our 4-year target of 22. This is just a summary across all urbanized areas. So you can see Boston all the way in your left column there. Some pre-COVID and then post-COVID trends. You saw it drop significantly between 2019 and 2020, but has slowly crept back up as sort of pre-pandemic travel conditions are returning. The second of our 2 urbanized area metrics is non-single occupancy vehicle travel, or non-SOV. This measure is based on the percentage of people commuting to work using any mode other than an SOV. So that can be walking, biking, public transit, or telecommuting. And again, reporting requirements here are on the urbanized area level, which includes the Boston UZA, which maintains some of the Old Colony region. So this is what the latest data tells us about non-SOV travel in the Boston UZA. This data is pulled right from the U.S. Census American Community Survey 5-year estimates on means of transportation to work. And the 5-year estimate means that the census combines 5 years of data to produce multi-year accurate estimates. So in column 2022, for example, estimates for that year consider all of the data collected between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2022. And if you look left to right, moving from year to year, you can see some of the trends. While population has remained relatively stable, you can see that the drove alone metric has dropped from about 66 to 58. The work at home took a rather massive jump here as well, going from about 4.6 in 2016 to 16% in 2022. While public transportation has also dropped, and we're hoping that that can continue to increase as we move further away from the pandemic. Before we look at our new target, I just wanted to take a quick look back at the old target and our trend line from 2 years ago. So using 5-year estimates, we created a projection by finding the rate of change in non-SOV travel from 2014 to 2019. And although at the time we did have 2020 estimates available, we didn't want to include that in our calculation because we were worried it would swing the projection to be much north of this and create a potential trend line that we didn't think would be sustainable because year-to-date data for COVID wasn't available at that time. So from this trend line, we came to the following targets of a 2-year non-SOV travel rate of 38.77% in the Boston UZA and a 4-year target of 39.81% non-SOV travel. So this graph shows the latest data available, which we previewed in the first table. And as you can see, based on the latest data, we have exceeded both our 2- and our 4-year non-SOV travel rate. So this is positive, but we do know more than what the data tells us here, in that the dramatic rate of change we start to see in 2020 is really brought on by the pandemic, not simply changes in travel behavior. So if we were to employ the same methodology from 2 years ago using this data, we would come to the trend line on the screen, and that's and here we experience a rate of change that's much, much higher than before the pandemic. So this clearly isn't sustainable long term, and so we had to come to a new methodology that considers cautious optimism as we move further away from the pandemic. So in coordination with the Central Transportation Planning staff to the Boston MPO, we looked at 1-year data for 2021 and 2022 to see how non-SOV numbers were changing year to year post-pandemic. And we found that there was a decrease in the 1-year rate from about 45.8% in 2021 to 44% in 2022. That's a reduction of about 1.8. So we weighed this reduction against our original trend line from the previous slide to estimate a gradual reduction in year-over-year non-SOV travel, which brings us to a new estimate and target of 42.6%, which is highlighted in blue on the screen. And this adjusted target here represents a balance between pre- and post-pandemic trends and the expectation that non-SOV travel will continue to increase across the urbanized area, but at a more gradual rate than what we were experiencing during the pandemic years. Moving on to our last statewide measure. Thank you all for bearing with me. This is emissions reductions. This calculates total mobile source emissions across 2- and 4-year periods. And at the beginning of this performance period, the cities of Lowell, Waltham, Worcester, and Springfield were all considered air quality maintenance areas. But due to standards established by the EPA and a sort of visiting period during the performance measures period that we are in now, it has been removed as an air quality maintenance area. And so the only remaining area under scrutiny is Dukes County on, I think, Martha's Vineyard, and there are no CMAQ projects funded there, so we don't have anything to report on from the state. However, FHWA performs their own calculations for air quality emissions. So the table here shows us what our baseline conditions were when we reported this performance period 2 years ago relative to our 2-year target, our mid-performance value, and our proposed 4-year target. So there isn't really much to report on here. When we submitted our report a couple weeks ago, these were all filled in, and we didn't have anything else to add. I think this is the last slide. This is just a summary of all the measures I spoke to in the last 15 minutes. Hope it wasn't too overwhelming, but it includes the baseline, our 2- and 4-year targets, and our mid-performance value. The lines you'll want to focus on are the 2 top measures. Those cover the statewide portion, as well as the rows that include the Boston urbanized area. I think that's it. So we can keep it on this slide if folks want to. Oh, I'm sorry, I had one more slide. I think this is just summarizing those non-SOV targets and changes. So as you can see, the mid-performance value up against the new target in orange, and you'll focus on that top row there for Boston, which includes the Old Colony region.
All right.
That was a lot of talking. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone have any questions for Chris? All right. So can I get a motion to approve both all the targets discussed by Chris, but also those by Annabelle and Jack?
I'll make that motion, Dan Salvucci.
Is there a second?
Second, Michael Lambert.
All right. Last call. Any questions? Seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
John Messiah,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Mike Lambert,
Yes.
and Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Great, thank you all. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Chris, Annabelle, and Jack. So now we'll move on to the next agenda item, which I believe is agenda item 8, which is performance-based planning for BAT, which I believe, Kelly, you're going to do it. I think that's what Michael said.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
All right, take it away.
Thank you. I don't know if you have the targets.
Yep.
Great.
There we go.
So some more performance-based planning for you. Brockton Area Transit every year has to submit our TAM plan, which is our Transit Asset Management Plan, to FTA. And part of that is what we think our performance of our assets, so our rolling stock, our equipment, and our facilities will be by the end of the year. So this is all for June 30th, 2025. How we base that is for rolling stock. It's based purely on the age of the vehicles. The same for equipment, which is just basically our non-revenue service vehicles. And then for facilities, there's a rating that we go through. So it's not just based on age, it's based on the upkeep and the state of good repair of the facilities we have. So going through our rolling stock, we separated out into the different asset classes, which is buses, cutaway buses, which is our Bridgewater State University vehicles, and vans, which is our Dial-A-Bat fleet. So for the end of 2025, we are expecting our buses to be at 14% beyond their useful life benchmark, which is an age that FTA sets for all buses, which is 14 years. So we're setting a performance measure of 14% because with the onset of our electric buses, we are going to be piloting those out in different service areas and different pieces of work. So in order to do that, we're going to be keeping on a few extra of our buses that normally we would be taking off the road as replacements. But because they're all still in such a good state of good repair, they're just reaching that 14 years of age, we're going to leave those on the road just while we figure out the best place to put our new vehicles on. And so we're seeing 14% by the end of June that will be buses which is just 7 of them, will be at 14 years old. For our cutaway buses, that's the Bridgewater State University fleet. They have 4 vehicles. One of those is at 10 years, but it's still in a state of good repair. So we're going to hold on to that for a little while. So we're setting that metric at 26%. For our vans, this includes all of our Dial-A-Bat fleet, all of the Council on Aging vans. We have a total of 57 of those vehicles. these have a much shorter useful life benchmark of 8 years. So depending on our replacement schedule, and we get these vehicles through MassDOT right now, and how our application for these grants go, we're sort of trying to be conservative on what we think will be awarded this year, and then it takes about a year and a half to 2 years to actually receive the vehicles. So we're seeing that about 15 of those vehicles will be 8 years old, but still in a good state of repair. So we're setting that metric at 27%. For equipment, we have to separate that out into automobiles and service trucks. We have 5 cars, automobiles. One of those will be beyond its useful life benchmark at 8 years. And we have 5 trucks, and 2 of those will be 8 years old or older. Just a note that when I'm saying they're beyond their useful life, almost everything on here is going to be almost right at its useful life benchmark. So these vehicles are going to be all 8 years, and maybe it'll just take us another year to replace them. So both of those metrics at the end of this year will be 40%. And then our facilities, we have 3 facilities. We have our maintenance and operations facilities down at 1442 Main Street. We have our BAT Center here on Center Street, and we have our administrative building right next door on Court Street. Those are all in a great state of good repair. We're seeing none of them being beyond their useful life, basically, or exceeding a 3 on the term scale, which is the federal scale for rating facilities. So 0% of those will be beyond any of that. That is all I have. I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
All right, anyone have any questions for Kelly? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to approve the targets as detailed by Kelly here?
Now
So
motion. Okay, second Dan Salvucci.
Who was the first? Was it Becky?
Becky,
All right, any questions for Kelly? All right, seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll, please?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
John Handy,
Yes.
John Messiah,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan, thank you, Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Mike Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which I believe is agenda item 9, which is federal fiscal year 25 to 29 tip. I believe there's an adjustment that we have to take up. Bill, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. So as you just introduced, we do have our first adjustment to the FFY 2025 to 2029 Transportation Improvement Program. During development of that tip, there was a project placeholder that was placed in for a district-wide project that's assigned a temporary label as S12980. So it's, long story short, essentially we knew that there was a safety project coming down the pike, but at the time there wasn't specific details known about this. So this adjustment replaces that temporary placeholder with the specific project we see on your screen, the VIU, vulnerable road users, systemic safety improvements near bus stops across the region, across MassDOT District 5. So it's not just our region, it's multiple regions. If we go to the next page, Sean. So a little background on this, a shout out to Bonnie Poland and her group at MassDOT Safety. They've done a phenomenal job in implementing the safe systems approach in the Commonwealth, looking at kind of taking a more proactive approach with safety planning. And one of the things they've identified is a disproportionate amount of crashes, and particularly crashes involving serious injuries and fatalities for vulnerable road users occur within 300 feet of a bus stop in the Commonwealth. So they had this undertaking working with the regional transit agencies and the regional planning agencies to identify high-risk locations near bus stops in the Commonwealth. So this project in District 5 takes $1.46 million in highway safety improvement funds to make improvements at near these bus stops to reduce the risk of serious injuries and fatalities to vulnerable road users, which is pedestrians, bicyclists, people in mobility assistance devices, that sort of thing. These improvements can be anything from raised crosswalks, higher visibility crosswalks, flashing signs such as RRFBs, curb extensions, that sort of thing. So improvements that can be implemented in a fairly short period of time for comparatively low amount of dollars compared to other higher capital projects. So this is for FFY 2025. And so at this time, I'd ask this board to consider approving this adjustment pending federal approval of the FFY 2025 to 2029 statewide transportation improvement program, which we fully expect will occur shortly.
All right, any questions for Bill? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion second to approve adjustment number 1?
I'll motion Dan Salvucci.
Second,
Lee
Michael.
Hart.
All right, are there any other questions? Seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wovel,
Yes.
John Handy,
Yes.
John Messia,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Mike Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bill. All right, we'll now move on to the next agenda item, which is the Old Colony. It's agenda item 10, Old Colony Safe Streets and Roads for All Action Plan Update, which I believe is also you, Bill, so take it away.
Thank you, Chair. So just to give you an update on where we stand with the development of the regional comprehensive safety action plan that's being developed for the region for under the Safe Streets for All award that was awarded to the region in 2022, so a couple of years ago now. But so we're about a little more than halfway through the development of this plan. The big update since the last time I provided an update to this board has been we, along with Beta Group, incorporate our consultant on board to develop this plan. We've met with the communities of the Old Colony region individually, and we'd like to thank everyone who participated in those meetings, from town administration, the police departments, the fire departments, to public works. They provided great input at each of those meetings. So Beta presented the data dashboard and interactive map. They presented the top 5 locations in each community that have been identified, and we solicited local input on other high priority locations for those communities. And it's been a very productive process. And so we thank everyone. And now at this point, we're ready to go ahead and, well, it has been released. The interactive map and data dashboard has been released to the general public now. So now anyone can go onto the link that's provided, I think on the next page of the staff report. So yeah, that link right down the bottom of the last paragraph. Anyone can go there, input their own thoughts, and or they can review the data in the data dashboard, obviously. And then any locations that they feel are missing, they can certainly add them. And there's already been some additions, so that's great. So that's where we stand right now. The next steps for this will be a larger general public meeting that'll occur sometime later this fall. And that is my update.
All right, thank you, Bill. Anyone have any questions? All right, no question. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 11, administrative matters of the business and date and time of next meeting. Charlie, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. A couple quick highlights. A reminder, if you haven't registered for the 2024 Moving Together Conference.
Actually, Charlie, I have to stop you. We're sold out, and there are
walk-in only?
There's no walk-ins either. I just
Oh, wow.
So it's completely sold out. So you have to do other groveling to get in now at this point.
That's funny.
Great job.
Sorry, Charlie, but I didn't want to get more expectations up than they already will be. So,
Well, it looks like a wonderful conference, and I know we have some OCPC folks going, and thank you, Steve and MassDOT, for planning this every year. It's a wonderful event. Next
All
slide.
right, Charlie, you got other business?
Sure. So, something that might not be sold out yet is the Getting to Vision Zero Mass Road Safety Summit, brought to you by MAPFRE Insurance, MassDOT, and Boston's Children's Hospital. And they're bringing in folks from Europe as well to talk about safety and getting to zero fatalities in Massachusetts. There's a link there, and note that we also have a staff report posted in the chat, so you can download this whole document. Next slide. So this is just a information item. If you get a invitation to participate in a Massachusetts travel study, this is very important because it helps define how and where people travel, and this will help inform making investment decisions in the future. And thank you to MassDOT for providing information material, and note that Brockton Enterprise had a nice article on this a couple of weeks ago, so stay tuned on the results. Next slide. So Federal Funds Infrastructure Office, their next meeting is October 22nd at 2 p.m. And you can register here at this link, and they will send out a grant opportunities and a newsletter in advance. Next slide. Next slide. And last but not least, for the rest of 2024, these are, please hold the date, November 19th and December 17th, if we have any MPO action items. But then rolling into 2025, these will be solid meeting dates, if you will, because that's when the MPO undertakes development of the 3C certification documents, in particular the Transportation Improvement Program and the Unified Planning Work Program for this upcoming cycle. So you're asked to save those dates, and at this point, we suspect they will all be virtual.
Thanks, Charlie. Charlie, I believe, Chris, you have one item too, correct?
I do. Yeah, thanks, Steve. So MassDOT's expecting to release a draft update of their public participation plan in the coming weeks. We're in the process of finalizing that update, responding to some comments from our federal partners. So as soon as we've completed those updates and sort of receive the go-ahead to release that for public comment, we will do so along with a brief survey asking about your experience engaging with MassDOT and participating in public events. Those materials will be shared online as well as sent to our distribution lists, MPO staff partners, etc. As soon as we do receive that notice, and we're hoping to give you folks a heads up as well. That way everybody can have the opportunity to respond to that and participate in our survey. And that's all I have for now.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Anyone have any questions for what Charlie presented on, or what Chris just went over now? Any questions? All right, seeing none, I think we're on to our last agenda item, which is adjournment. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved, Dan Salvucci.
Second.
A second, Becky. All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Have a good Halloween. I'm sure I'll see some of you next week for like the 10 seconds I have during the whole course of the day for people. So I'm looking forward to seeing people next week. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.